We're definitely getting into it. I'm starting a new series going over all the influencers that quit carnivore. We're starting with Lily Kane, and let's get into it right now. Welcome everyone to my humble life. Now let's get right on into it as I drink from my bentonite clay water. Why I quit carnivore. Now, I once did a carnivore diet. I mean, it was early on after Sean Baker was on the Joe Rogan show. He influenced a lot of people. I will admit that. But as time has passed, it's the rage. It's the rage. Early on, I knew that there was major problems with carnivore because it had to be a ketogenic version. There's nothing else. You can't do like a bunch of meat or meat with fruit. That's a clusterfuck of a mess. And, well, I don't have a watch on, but in time, we start to see the mess. And more influencers are coming out saying, why I quit carnivore. Well, why do they quit carnivore? Because they're not in ketosis. They're eating too much protein. And this creates a multitude of problems: electrolyte problems, urea problems, kidney problems, thyroid problems, blood sugar problems, stool problems, gallbladder problems, on and on and on. The stuff I always talk about. And there are the zealots. They're like vegans. They're carnivore vegans that are like, it's amazing, it's the best ever. People in my comment section that don't like what I'm saying will make commentary like, where's the science? And I'm like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that when you eat too much protein, which I've done a lot of scientific videos, that excess protein converts back into glucose, but doesn't restore glycogen. It's just liver glycogen. You're not in ketosis. Then you run out of energy because you're not using carbs or fat. Fat, carbs, not protein for energy. And then people started adding fruit to their diets, and that cannot put you into ketosis. And the problem with fruit, it goes right into triglycerides, right into your liver immediately. And we're dealing with, ironically, with the primal diet, we're dealing with completely genetic modified fruits, high in fructose. We call that a problem. Now, you might feel better with your electrolytes in the beginning, but you crash after 10 minutes because you can't restore glycogen within the muscle on fruit. So, of course, the best thing to do is do a ketogenic version of a carnivore diet and eat a lot of fat, which started happening over time. And I know that I was the first saying you have to do a high-fat carnivore, and it's one in the same diet. And you can go back through my video catalogs and see that because everybody was doing high protein. But tonight, I'm going to start a series of going over all the people saying why they quit carnivore. Not to shed a negative light on carnivore, but to really expose the truth instead of the hype. We don't want hype. We need the truth so people don't injure themselves. And I've done the same thing for years. This is nothing new. Someone said, well, she likes to speak negatively or call out. I'm like, well, I've been doing that forever. Nothing new. So let me pull up Lily Kane. Now, Lily Kane blew up in the carnivore world. Young girl. When she interviewed me, which she did, I think she was 24 at the time. And I told her, this is going to kick your ass. She stood there so perplexed. If you go back to that video, you can see that whole thing. But let me pull up her video. All right. That is a Lily Kane. She's probably like 27 now or 28. But she blew up because she did a bunch of very cute, very Gen Z videos. Like with graphics and da-da-da. And she has a lot of charismatic, cute girl. her body's fit, so she blew the frack up because she's light and fluffy, and I'm too pedantic and sardonic. But somebody got to keep it real. But let's listen to Lily, and I literally warned her of everything she's talking about, and she looked at me like this. Well, let me show you guys. She looked at me like this, like in one ear, out the other. Like this was her brand. And that's the thing with a lot of people doing carnivore. They become a advertisement, commercial, money-making brand. Okay, they have the sponsorships up the wazoo. They sell stuff or they start coaching, which God knows, I don't know why. But with that said, because dealing with people's health is very volatile, you have to be very careful. But here she's going into why she quit carnivore. And I'm telling you, I have to state it for the third, fourth time. I warned her of all of this.
Back then, if you had seasonings and they didn't cause you any issues, go for it. If you had coffee and it doesn't bother you, sweet, I'm rooting for you. If you like mustard on your burger patty, cool, whatever, it's no big deal. However, gradually the carnivore diet started becoming more popular. And over the years, more people started creating videos saying things like, if you're not doing carnivore diet perfectly, then you ain't doing carnivore right, and you can't say that you're carnivore.
So she never did that. You know, Lily never was like, you're not doing carnivore perfectly. But what she did do, which is every young girl showing a massive plate of meat that they don't eat. Don't think they eat that meat, because they don't. It's just for the camera. Because if you've got 10 eggs and like 8 burger patties, everyone's like, wow, look how tiny that person is. But look at all the meat they're eating. Nonsense. All right, let's keep going.
Carnivore. Hey, dairy, that doesn't count. Coffee, what? Forget about it. You flush that coffee down the toilet. You want to put seasonings on your steak? What are you, a vegan or something? Don't even look at a plant. And I was getting blown up in the comment section every time I'd squeeze lemon on my sardines. And as I would do more interviews with guests, they would say things to me off camera, like, this is just...
Well, that was not me. And I was one of the people that she interviewed. This is not me. This is everyone else.
It's getting a little bit ridiculous, this whole carnivore policeness thing. They would say, Lily, I will just film my food and then turn off the camera and stop recording and then add my seasonings and my hot sauce to my meats.
Okay, now how fucked up is that? What a bunch of freaking liars. If what she's saying is true, this is why people get damaged. Because they present one thing and then they flip off the camera and present another. Or not present rather, but then live another. This is the reason why I do the call out videos. Now what you can say now, people in the comment section who try to neg this, she's saying it herself.
And I was like, oh, so you hiding stuff. Influencers would say, if people ask, I'll say, yes, I have coffee, but otherwise I'm not gonna show and like highlight that I have coffee in my day. I just watched an Instagram reel this morning where someone was like, for the last X number of years, I've been eating mostly red meat and animal products. And I was like, mostly? Since when? You would have said only if it was only, as you've said this in the past. So what is it now that you're eating? You know, why aren't you showing people? There should be nothing to hide. I just started seeing influencers try to one up the other as to who could be the most carnivore. Like, I'm so carnivore.
She's right. But Lily, you kind of like that too. She's not talking that way, but she did the very bombastic, loud, meat, gnarly plates of meat videos like everybody else has done as well. Love you, Lily, sweetheart. You know, we had a great interview talk, but girl, you did it too. You just didn't say those words, but you showed those videos.
Or I'll eat my meats raw. And it just started turning into like a carnivore cult where people were more focused on being strict rather than on being...
True. Now, that's her point, that people are saying that they're strict, but they're drinking coffee off camera. Now, I will give her that. But she was a part of the whole cultish making of the, you know, young, cute girls showing plates and plates of meat when their uric acid levels are through the roof, and their iron and the ferritin and the constipation, and she'll go into it.
healthy. And granted, some people may need to be more strict to be healthy, but I'm talking people like me who don't have any major autoimmune condition, and yet for them, the thought of eating like a
Now let's take a note. She just said she didn't have any autoimmune condition, but later in this video, she's saying that her thyroid numbers are off. That's a major autoimmune issue. And some people just don't recognize their autoimmune issues.
carrot stick made them feel like they're either lying to the public, they're going to lose followers, they're going to ruin their image, they're going to lose.
You know, she's talking about herself. This is called projection.
Their identity. Also, I had looked up to certain influencers and certain doctors. And then once I got to speak with them one-on-one, it was kind of like a Wizard of Oz moment where I pulled back the curtain and I was like, oh, you're just a human. You're not this benevolent, all-knowing being. In fact,
she is right. They're not knowing at all. She's right about that.
They cuss, they gossip, they say mean things. They don't have all the answers to my questions. And I'll be the first to admit I am not perfect. I have my flaws, including a flaw being that I used to watch videos and think, well, they're speaking with so much confidence that surely what they're saying must be true.
Right.
And then I'd go and fact check them, and I'd be like, oh, hey, well, some things kind of slip through the cracks sometimes.
She must have done that later, because when I spoke to her, that's when she was doing the crazy meat videos. Yes, the too much meat on a plate videos, and then she'd be in a bikini. So this must be the evolution. And some people actually evolve, and it looks like that's what she's done.
Just really don't like the hiding and like the secrets. I mean, this is not to say that people are like full-blown vegans off camera or anything like that, but like, who cares if you have a little bit of seasonings or a little bit of something? But when you hide and you don't show it, it creates a false reality for people, where then I have clients one-on-one who are genuinely concerned.
Girl, don't tell me you got clients. Okay, Lily can do whatever she wants. I ain't saying nothing.
That if they have a cucumber, then it's like game over, and they're nervous to have something else because they think they're going to be considered unhealthy. I have clients who apologize to me saying, I'm sorry I had coffee. I know I shouldn't have. And I'm like, what? Who said you couldn't have coffee? I don't care.
Look, I will give it to her, because when I first started coaching people years and years and years ago, I didn't know what I was doing. But I became very strict. That's why my whole business is built around being very careful and calling out shite. But you coaching, but you don't have it figured out, my girl. But hey, I didn't in the beginning either.
When you have coffee, does it cause you some sort of negative response? I mean, if there's one general consensus among the people who I've interviewed, it's avoid eating processed junk foods as much as possible and stick to eating real whole single ingredient foods. Though if there's a single ingredient food that causes you some sort of negative response, then I wouldn't have it. For example, I think eggs are incredibly nutritious. And if you can tolerate eggs, I'd do it. Though there was a period in time where I felt eggs were causing my head to be more itchy and have more dandruff, and so I didn't eat eggs. Similarly, my husband, if he has some oregano seasoning of all things, he'll have more heart palpitations and he'll have more headaches and feel nauseous.
She's describing histamine intolerance, so they both have leaky gut, which most people do.
And just doesn't feel good from just a little bit of oregano seasoning. Point is, eat single ingredient whole foods. And if you notice certain ones cause you an issue, then I wouldn't have them. This is the beauty of a carnivore diet, no plants.
No. This is what I'm saying. If you have an inflammatory disorder, cheese is not your friend. That casein is a problem. An apple with meat is not going to get you in ketosis. You might be able to hold on to your electrolytes a little bit better. What is this? What am I doing here? What is that?
It's carnivore diet, as when you...
Okay. What is this? What, girl? Just say you're doing a low carb diet. She got sweet potato, apples, strawberries. This is why, Lily, I think you're wonderful, but perhaps coaching people on these foods, if you're actually coaching people with these foods, this is a problem in every way. She felt worse doing carnivore because she was not in ketosis. She was being strict and being dogmatic because of all the other influencers. But she put a sweet potato in there. Where's the fat? You know, I'm not going to hate on her for having the sweet potato, but this is a carb. This is a low carb diet. This is not a carnivore diet. This ain't a keto diet. Just this and the nuts. No. Do I see almonds up there? All right.
Eliminate a ton of variables and go very basic with your diet, then when you reintroduce something like condiments or coffee or celery, then it's easier to identify which foods may be causing you an issue. Anyway, all that said,
although you should not be drinking coffee because it's a toxin, straight up.
First started on YouTube, I was eating a carnivore-ish diet, meat plus or minus seasonings, condiments, stevia, little things. And I quickly realized I should avoid using the word carnivore to describe how I eat, as I do have little things. But then also I realized I was under eating. And when I just eat tons of meat and fat, I can't eat enough. And so I found that if I have a little bit of carbohydrate.
I think she's right. So, okay, but she's saying a little bit, girl, you got to do carbs or you don't do carbs. If you don't do carbs, it's keto. You have to be ketotic. And if you're doing carbs, you're just doing a low carb diet. That's all. It's not a carnivore diet with a little carbs. I don't know why people still hold on to that word carnivore.
It actually stimulates me to keep eating and to not undereat.
Oh, that's another thing. I do think she was undereating. She was incredibly lean. I think she was. Yeah. But she would show big ass plates of food. But I don't think she was eating that. I think she was under eating because now she's holding on to some water and fat a little bit more as her body tries to recover.
So as of August 2021, I started incorporating a serving of fruit, which not only helped me from under eating, but also improved my sleep. As I started noticing when I was doing more strict carnivore that I was waking up like 2 hours before my alarm would go off.
So because she's not in ketosis, she's feeling better on fruit, but it is in my belief that she will also hit a wall eating fruit and meat. So if she is actually eating some sweet potato, then that would be a good thing. That would be a great thing so she can get some glycogen storage.
I also started having more eye twitching from not holding on to my electrolytes. And I was also noticing
She had eye twitching because of potassium deficiency specifically, not electrolytes, potassium.
My performance in the gym was getting slowly not as optimal. And when I incorporated a little bit more carbohydrates, I was able to push it more in the gym and have more strength. So October 13th, 2021, so 2.5 years ago, I
see she's smaller there. You see that? She's definitely
posted a video
smaller.
with the 10.
My stupid air conditioning is going off. I apologize, my people.
Reasons why I don't eat a carnivore diet, which I watched that video back this week, and I still agree with what I said back then. I thought it was pretty spot on. Now, all that said, I was still eating a fairly carnivore-ish diet. So essentially from August 2021 to August 2023, I had mainly just been eating meat, fish, dairy, and a piece of fruit. Keep in mind, this whole time, my scalp has still been itchy. And because it's itchy.
You know why? Because you got that fruit in there and cheese in there and coffee in there. That's why. And that's bad. Eczema or psoriasis.
Then when I scratch it, things will flake off. So now it's more like dandruff. And then when it's more dandruffy, then it stresses me out. And then I have more like psoriasis or kind of like dermatitis. So that's kind of where my scalp was at this point. And I got my blood work done August 2023. My blood work showed that my ferritin levels were elevated, which ferritin is the storage form of iron. So slightly high in iron. And my copper was a little bit on the lower end. And my thyroid, while my thyroid numbers were still in range, my thyroid still wasn't as optimal as it could be. And having dry skin can be a sign that someone has maybe some thyroid issues.
My people, if you are, thyroid testing is one of the worst things to try to understand or diagnose your thyroid, because your body can make the hormone and then your body doesn't uptake and use it. And they'll do blood tests of freestanding thyroid hormone, and then they see that you have it in the blood, but they can't see if it's getting into the cells. When you have thyroid numbers that tick a little low, they're really low. That's how U.S. system numbers are. They'll put you in a healthy range with your A1C too high, and when your thyroid hormone is too low, they say it's a normal range. So yeah, if she tick low, then she does have an autoimmune issue or developed one.
Issues going on. I went over my lab work with Dr. Sabrina Salt, and she had said that I may benefit by having a little bit of broccoli, which I had randomly would have like grilled onions.
You know, the irony is too, you'll have another doctor that says that broccoli is a cruciferous and can block iodine from going into the thyroid. So they all say different things, but check her out.
Or some carrots maybe here or there, but for the most part over the last like 3-ish years I really didn't have any vegetables because, well, I always remembered them not tasting very great. They're also low in calories and low in nutrients, and to me it just seemed
vegetables are not low in nutrients. So this is where understanding a little bit more about certain foods and what they have in them is very, very important. But if you take, maybe she should have said, if you take something like liver, it's going to be far more nutrient dense than that broccoli.
Like kind of a nuisance. Vegetables do have some nutritional value, just not as much as like we've always been told that like vegetables are like nutrient powerhouses. Yeah, not really. Anyway, so in September 2023, I bought broccoli, and holy smokes, it was so delicious. I was like, wow, since when did broccoli ever taste this good? My body must have been missing something that I wasn't getting, because this broccoli, I'm telling you, it was more delicious than bacon. After we went through the bag of broccoli.
That is not true. But because she was depriving herself of these cruciferous or certain foods, it was good, because she's right. The carnivore diet has become too zealot and cult-like. It's crazy.
We didn't actually continue to buy it. No good reason as to why we didn't keep buying it. We just didn't. Then a few months later, so December 2023, we were visiting family for the holidays, and they had Brussels sprouts and broccoli, and so we had it, and again, so tasty. Now at this point, my feathers were so ruffled about the whole scratchy, itchy head, dandruffy, psoriasis scalp situation, and I'm telling you, I tried everything. I wrote a whole list down just so I wouldn't miss any of the things that I've tried. I've tried no processed foods, no fruits, no vegetables, no seasonings, no condiments, super strict carnivore, no dairy, no eggs. I've tried buying a $100 silk pillowcase. I've tried new laundry detergent, a shower filter. I've tried washing my hair with egg yolks, washing.
Yes, but did you think about your cortisol levels, your sleep, any die-offs? Candida, she could have been having a die-off. And the more that you try to be clean, the more you die off, the more you start having the symptoms, right? Because often dandruff can be a candida die-off. Also, you have to think about the quality of your food. If it's wet hung or dry hung, are you boiling your meats? There's a lot of things that people don't consider where they think they've tried everything. This list is not enough. If you have severe histamine intolerance, you would have to boil your meats. You would have to source wet hung meats. So there's a lot to be learned.
Washing my hair with apple cider vinegar, washing my hair with tallow, not washing my hair at all. I currently wash my hair just one time a week. I've tried putting coconut oil in my hair. I've tried castor oil. I've tried supplementing with vitamin B1, colostrum, iodine, selenium, copper. So I've tried a lot.
Clearly she was taking iodine and selenium because this naturopath that she worked with is trying to get her thyroid more optimal, which she probably should talk more about.
That come the end of December, I was like, okay, I'm going to try to eliminate dairy yet again, because I was like, it might be milk. And so I gave it a try again, no dairy for 2 months. And again, I still didn't see any improvement whatsoever with my scalp. Then we got Bryce's blood work done, and his blood panel also showed that his ferritin was slightly elevated. So his storage form of iron was a little bit high, and also similar to me, his copper was a little bit low. So to help bring our iron levels lower, we could either donate blood, have more copper, as copper can help metabolize iron.
When you have to donate blood, when your iron levels are that high, that is dangerously reaching a thing called hematochromatosis. That's why these carnivore diets can be dangerous.
Iron, or have less foods high in iron, aka eat less red meat. So we decided to try all three.
So it wasn't the meat that she's eating. It was the fact that she wasn't addressing all those other things. like her existing health before she tried the carnivore diets, maybe under eating when she was so thin. There's a ton of stuff, potentially fasting, potentially doing a carnivore diet with coffee, and then not balancing her food. If you're eating one big huge meal, or you're eating twice a day and you're eating large amounts or moderate amounts of red meat, and you're not in ketosis, then your autoimmunity can explode. I've explained this so many times, that if you're not in ketosis and you're not eating carbs, you are at risk of developing worsening symptoms. If you had leaky gut before, that gut can worsen. If you're having cortisol issues and sleep issues and bowel issues, they can worsen. If you have electrolyte issues, they're going to worsen, and then your whole immune system begins to drop.
Now, we haven't donated blood yet, but we did start supplementing with copper and having less red meat. Now, that doesn't mean no red meat. We still have red meat. We just don't have it every single day, multiple times a day. And so instead of beef, we've been having more turkey, chicken, salmon, cod, mahi-mahi, oysters, and sardines. I know a lot of people have been wondering why I've been eating more turkey. This is why. I definitely prefer the taste of ground beef over ground turkey, but we'll see what happens with my iron.
I think she needs to check out her, first of all, if she's still drinking coffee, she needs to stop immediately, right? Because this is, coffee has the ability, because again, it's basic baby plants, the coffee berry, and it's baby plants, and can just wreck your gut and also rob your body of magnesium and destabilizing your iron. So I wonder if she's still drinking coffee, because she's not saying that thus far. And this is the first time I've watched her video, this video. Yeah, there's something going on with her gut. She's not absorbing the iron.
And because we're having more meats that have very high protein, they're very lean, and they don't have a lot of fat, we have to add in the energy calories from either more fats or carbs. And because Bryce and I, at that point, had CGMs, and we wanted to see how our blood sugars would respond to rice and potatoes.
What is she eating? She's eating sweet potato and meat, and I don't see the fat. That's very interesting. Sweet potatoes and meat. Looks like a 4-ounce, 3.5 serving. And they've got this hot sauce, which is very, very histamine, explosive.
I've been trying to heal my scalp, and I started thinking, well, maybe the scalp thing is going on because I have too much iron or too much saturated fat, as both of those supposedly can create more inflammation. And then also, I've been doing a lower.
Supposedly can give you more inflammation. What, girl, what are you talking about? The only time a saturated fat is going to give you more inflammation is if your gallbladder is not functioning properly, or it's from an unhealthy animal where the fat is storing toxins.
Low carb diet for over 3.5 years, and being in a low carb state can be a form of stress on the body. And as someone who's younger, metabolically healthy, I'm very active, maybe
you're not metabolically healthy because you have high iron. You have to look at things. And the fact that she was very thin before, and now she's her body fat. Now she's healthy. She still looks fit, but I've seen her very, very lean. So what was going on? If your thyroid's underactive, metabolically, there's something going on.
Maybe I've been too low carb for too long, and I'm putting more stress on my body, also contributing to the scalp thing.
Okay, so let's go more into the science of this. Too low carb without enough fat means that your body is going to try to convert that protein into glucose, which cannot restore glycogen. This takes a hit on the hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal, thyroid axis, which is making sense. Now, could I be wrong? Of course, but it's making sense by what she's describing.
The scalp situation all started back when the COVID thing happened, and I started eating lower carb, high fat. Moral of the story is I decided I am going to try doing a higher carb diet approach. And I started having 150 to 200 grams of carbs a day. Also, I do talk about this.
What are you doing? On what on God's green earth would you be eating 150 to 200 grams of carbs a day? And she young. So you need, Lily, bless you. Go for whatever you need to go for. But people out there listening, nowhere in nature are you going to be eating on the daily 150 to 200 grams of carbs a day. So now she's going to start to develop extreme blood sugar swings. And if she had Candida die off, those Candida albicans will begin to explode back again. Lord have mercy.
This all in my Instagram story. I mentioned this like months ago. So if you want more like up to date, and even I show like what I'm eating in a day, I do a lot of that through Instagram stories. So I'll see you over on the gram. Anyway, my carbs were coming from the 2 cups of raw milk, the 1 cup of yogurt, and the 1 piece of fruit that I normally have, plus now another piece of fruit, potatoes, and white rice. Now, initially doing this 150 to 200 gram carb approach was fine initially. My skin stayed clear, my scalp didn't get any worse, and in fact, my strength in the gym, I definitely got a little bit stronger.
She became stronger at the gym because she was never in ketosis. Like I said, you cannot restore energy and muscle on meat. So she doesn't have, well, she did say white rice. So yeah, she's going to be stronger. But I kind of have a feeling like she either had a die-off reaction, a histamine response, a die-off reaction with her, looks like serobiatic. Yeah, it looks like psoriasis.
2 complaints I had from the beginning was that I felt hungry all the time, and then also my sleep. While my sleep didn't get worse per se, I still slept, but I would wake up and I'd feel so exhausted as if I didn't sleep. And I just felt like I got hit over the head with a sack of potatoes when I'd wake up. And I thought, okay, well, like maybe I just need to like have breakfast and get my day going and then I'll feel better. But it usually took about like 3 hours of my morning before I finally felt like more alert. Otherwise, I was just like very much.
That's her adrenals, and that's playing a role on her skin as well. But she's really stretched her adrenals. That's what's also creating problems to her scalp, in my belief.
Felt kind of hungover. I just woke up feeling very exhausted. So the first couple weeks were okay, but then things got ugly and my skin got so bad. I looked like I was a teenager again. I don't usually wear foundation, but I had to cake on the makeup for these YouTube videos because my acne was so bad. Then I was 10 days late on my menstrual cycle and I was like cry and super mood swingy, and I cried for 3 days in a row, and Bryce was like, "What's wrong with you?" And then I was really bloated and my abs were disappearing, and I was like, I'm not about it. And I recognize when you reintroduce foods for the first time, initially the body may have some sort of reaction as it's just not used to having these things.
No, wrong. It's not that your body's not used to having these things. And I'm telling you, and I've said this to you guys a million times, diamine oxidase lowers when you eat less production of diamine oxidase, which is an antihistamine, when you do carnivore for too long. And she's describing this, not that her body has to adjust. It's the fact that her body and her pancreas has to start producing these enzymes again to be able to get through the histamine.
Maybe my menstrual cycle would have regulated over time. However, I had done a no processed junk food, only eating real whole foods, but a higher carb approach kind of diet before, and my menstrual cycle did not regulate. I had an irregular reproductive area my whole life until I did a high fat, low carb approach. I'm saying now,
until she did a high fat, low carb approach, because cholesterol is sort of a backbone to making reproductive hormones. Look how much thinner she is, but although she does look younger as well.
That I forgot to mention, I did this 150 to 200 gram approach for about 6 weeks. The first couple weeks were okay, and then slowly things just kept getting worse and worse.
Wrong. She looked younger. Oh, that's her 6-week experiment. Okay.
More acne, irritability, mood swings. I was crying more. Not that I gained fat per se, but I was holding on to more water weight. So I was getting more puffy in my face, in my arms.
Yeah, you can see that with carbs. Okay, so this video, because it's different lighting, she looked younger. Her body looked different. It's a different angle. But yeah, you can really see how much she's holding onto water since she reintroduced carbohydrates. This is the best example of this.
And in my stomach area where I could just see my body composition changing. Like I said, I was hungry all the time, more bloating, more gas, just not sleeping as great. And so I didn't have a set time limit for how long I was going to do this for, as long as my scalp was healing, which my scalp actually, to my surprise, never got worse. But with all the other things, it just wasn't worth it. I think you and I both know where this story's headed. Firstly, I just really can't stand the acne, so I stopped having as many carbs. Also, I think my acne improved because, well, summer came early for us here in Missouri, so I've been laying out and tanning more in the sun, and I think that's helped. And then also, I've been using a red light face mask, which...
Girl, I don't hate. Beautiful body. But you put yourself in a bikini on purpose. Yes, it's very visual.
This isn't just for people with like acne. It can help with fine lines, wrinkles, and blemishes. Also, with me now laying out in the sun, this face mask should help me with keeping my skin looking young and not, getting damaged by the sun.
If she were to consider her gut in this video, the dots would connect more why her skin was reactive, why she was holding on to water.
Much. I got this face mask from Bond Charge. I just wear it for 10 minutes a day. I can still be doing my work, going on my laptop, watching TV, and be able to get like 2 birds, 1 stone done, making my skin look younger, and also get my work done at the same time. I know it looks a little silly wearing the mask, but I do.
And there you go. There you have it. That was Lily Kane. I do appreciate her. I do appreciate the video that she did. I appreciate the interview that she had with me. She's a sweet girl. I see some of the holes in her understanding of what happened to her. And but at the same time, I really enjoy her candidness. I think she did a really great job, a really, really great job of describing what she had gone through with her journey. So I'm going to start going over all the people who quit carnivore, because their symptoms, sometimes they don't understand. Like, she doesn't understand that most likely she stopped producing as much diamine oxidase because she wasn't having any fiber. Yes. And the die-off, it could be oxalates, it can be candida, although I think her skin is a candida die-off. Yeah. And then she had hormonal disruptions, and she did say that she had problems with her menstrual cycle for a while. Yeah. And she didn't talk about things like, maybe I'll reach out to her for a conversation, but she didn't talk about fasting, or if she's still drinking coffee, or if she's taking any dairy. There's more to it. There's more to it. But I do appreciate her candidness. I wish more and more people did videos like her, being honest, right? Honest as far as she can understand what's happening to her, because I think some of the things she may not know. And she's like raised her carbs way too high, started holding on to water, and then dealing with more anti-nutrients, blood sugar all over the place. And then if she had a candida issue, them spores all came back. All right, guys, comment below. Have you been struggling with carnivore diets? Are you wondering how to use it to actually heal your body and then get the frack off and either try a ketogenic diet or do what Lily has done, which is to go to low carb? Now, I wouldn't call it meat-based. She's just doing a low carb, high fat diet, and the foods that she's eating, besides all the lean meats, because she doesn't know how to deal with the fact that now she doesn't absorb iron, she needs to address that gut. And if she addresses that gut, she won't have to eat chicken that's high in omega-6 and salmon that has got a bunch of sea toxins in it. And yeah, because dark red meats and organ meats are so healthy for you. Those meats, she was I'm going to take back some of that. She was trying to eat the oysters, which is very, very important. Comment below. My Instagram is Stephanie Ketogenic. Hello. My Facebook fan page is Stephanie the Business Person. I've been doing this for, 14 years online. Energy! I'm almost 57, and I didn't have to stop a ketogenic diet. I didn't. I'm going to talk more about my ketogenic journey to help you understand the benefits and the pitfalls and how to navigate through that, when to go off of a ketogenic diet or when to go off of carnivore and go to keto, or just go off both low carb and go do what Lily is doing, which is a low carb, high fat, which I do think that was a good option for her. I do. Yeah, I have a course where I cover all 3 diets because I'm not dogmatic, only preaching about keto, although that's what I choose to do. I also have an Instagram, which is Stephanie Ketogenic, a Facebook fan page, which is Stephanie the Business Person. I'm out because it's too late and I need to edit this biatch. All right. Again, I want to say, Lily, I keep it real. There are some good things that she's done. Some of the things might seem like little digs. They're not. I'm just keeping it real. And at the end of the day, I do appreciate her and the fact that she's putting out this newer content, which I think will help people to dismay and to kind of get rid of this idea of the cult culture of carnivore. And I'm out.